Yes, we're here. Better late than never. An impromptu live stream. I love it. No one was expecting this one. Makes it all the more special. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and this is not our regular scheduled time. We usually go live at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It is like almost 12:30, but we finished setting up at the Honda Indy. So we wanted to make sure we got at least one live in before we, got distracted by the events of the weekend, which start tomorrow. Hope you got questions, because sometimes I even have answers. And I may even have a Sergeant Murray Campbell joining me very shortly. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live on social media to answer your traffic and police questions Monday to Friday, unless, other things happen. Because stuff and things happen. It's just the way of life. So yesterday and today, I was spending a lot of time setting up, because we had to organize vehicles to make sure there was something for you to come out and see. And aside from me, like standing in a parking lot, not cool. Bringing old police cars, totally cool. And that's what I want to show you. I want to be, you know what? Maybe I'll even share a photo of it. Maybe. No, I don't want to play that. Hold on. Here we go. No, leave me alone. Phone not listening to me. For some reason, our internet has been wonky for a while. And I'm trying to get past that. But every time I open my phone, I have to re-log into our network. And that is, it is suboptimal. Okay. If you're watching, you might be watching on one of many different platforms. Actually, you could be watching on multiple platforms, because some folks like to do that. We are currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and even Twitter. Sadly, on Twitter, we can't see you. We can't see your questions. And the reason is, I don't have a reason. I was going to make one up, but it didn't work out. If you want to ask us questions here on Twitter, please use trafficcop.ca. It is a web address that takes you to my link tree. From my link tree, you can actually go and join us on any one of our other social media platforms that will allow you to ask questions. I have a moderator, and that moderator is helping me take your questions and put them over in the other. He's here. He's here, and he's armed with a Diet Coke, I think. He is. Okay. Let's move over. Oh, it was a wire. I was trying to roll over a wire and it was not letting me. Let me zoom out a bit. Ooh, that's the wrong way. And there's a Sergeant Campbell. And there's a microphone for you.
Hey.
Howdy.
How we doing? Have we got anybody there?
We got some people here and more people coming in. Master Technician being one of them. He's at Jane and Finch. And why does my room look so dark? It's a new room. We're experimenting with lighting. Although the background being a little darker, a little more emotional, maybe. We have lights on. We had a couple power failures due to power and power management testing. So that could be contributing to light settings are a little lower. We're working out the kinks. There's different things. We've got Tracy, who says hello and wants to know why we're so late. Well, I was busy for the second day in a row dealing with the auto show, not the auto show, the Honda Indy. Some of the Honda Indy would be very upset if I called them the auto show. So let's just keep that between you and me. But this is what our booth at the moment. Let me zoom in there. We were organizing having all the vehicles ready. So there's going to be there is. It's not there going to be. We have representation from parking enforcement. We have an 88 Plymouth. I don't know what year the Crown Vic is, but a Crown Vic. We have a police motorcycle, a very special one. And we also have a current patrol vehicle. So we have different vehicles that you can have a look at, along with a big motorhome command center.
Well, and along with the most important things that are going to be down there.
Us.
Yeah. So we're going to go old school. We're because we do this online all the time, and we reach out and we miss actually getting to talk and converse and have some face-to-face feedback. So we're going to be down at the Honda Indy. Come see us. We're in the what are they called?
Thunder Alley.
Yes,
I think that's what it's called.
So we're in Thunder Alley. Look for the Toronto Police and maybe the OPP one as well.
They're okay.
You can say hi to them.
They're next to us, but they're so much further away. Like you have to walk past an entire booth, then past the last car in our booth, and then it's their booth.
Yeah.
They do have a cool Corvette, though.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? I want to see the Corvette.
It's pretty nice. They have a big scatter code there. They're hiring. We're all hiring. Everybody's hiring. Akela Dracona says greetings and salutations. He never says that. Apparently, his wife got rear-ended yesterday by an agent of chaos, but he will still be at the Indy tomorrow, so that is good. Michael says greetings and waves, or is that now the new official emoji for salutations? I guess it is. And they're going to make plans. I think Michael is connecting with Akela to come down. My wife is here. Hello, wife. Good afternoon at this completely unplanned live stream. Matthew Matthews. Okay, a couple of housekeeping things. We are live. We're answering your questions, but to better assist us in identifying your questions from banter within, especially within the TikTok community, please put a Q in front of the question. That way we know it's a question. Yes. Just thinking, can I make us taller? No, it's as low as my table goes. Oh, but it did create some electrical interference. Stop that. Turn it off.
I don't hear it at all.
Oh, I hear it.
Nope, don't hear it at all.
My ears are finally, the display went off. Yeah, there was a minor noise, and minor noises apparently impact my hearing.
Minor rift in the space-time continuum.
Ooh, very nice. If you've got questions, please feel free to ask. We talk generally, we discuss, we generally answer questions about traffic laws, traffic safety, and general police stuff. But, we've been known to discuss donuts, movies.
Dad jokes?
Oh, dad jokes. Where did I put the dad jokes? I think they're over there. We got a new set of dad jokes, or just additional dad jokes to offset the already daddish jokes. There's been a lot of dad jokes on Instagram lately, and I get a lot of them sent to me, so just saying. I didn't really introduce you. I just said that you're here. Sergeant Murray Campbell from Traffic Services and the Pounds.
Yes, towing and impounding. That's what I normally do most of my time. But I also do media and social media within Traffic Services and a host of other things.
We are the Swiss Army tools of the. We're tools.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
We are the instruments of I don't know. We do a lot of stuff. Whatever whatever needs to get done gets done because we do it. Yes. Matthew Matthews has a question and wants to know if we can clarify the use of novelty lighting use. If you mean specifically lighting that is not headlights and marker lights, like underglow lighting, for instance, a lot of people want to know about those halo rings in the headlights. Those are obviously not required for the safe operation of the vehicle. They don't provide any benefit other than to look cool-ish. Sometimes.
Can you say that?
It's a little cringy to call them cool.
Underglow? Yeah.
The 80s and 90s have called. They've left several messages. They'd like their stuff back.
You know what? Novelty lighting, yes, as long as it is in a prescribed color, in a prescribed direction.
As long as it's not in the ones that are illegal. Like you can only shine yellow and white light forward. You can only have amber and red light rear. If you're putting purple...
Unless you're traveling in reverse.
Well, and the reverse lights, yes, there is that. Good point. And just for those who are nitpicking and traffic geeks like me, the 3 candela light bulb above your license plate is not a projected bulb rear, and it's the only white light that can be on when traveling forward. But the deal is that if you're putting lighting under your vehicle, if the bulbs are visible, if you can see the light from the back, you're projecting light rearward. If it's installed properly so that you don't see the bulb at all, and the only ability to see is the faint glow on the ground, I don't think you have an issue there. But if it's like people say, well, halos, purple halos, how come you're pulling me over for purple halos?
Yep.
You're projecting purple forward. It's a prohibited color, or at least it's not white and it's not yellow, and it's not legal. And recently, I think it was either York or the OPP, they even had poetry to go, like roses are red, violets are blue, your colorful headlights, now here's a ticket for you. They did something like that. It was actually, I laughed, and then I continued with my day. Okay.
Somebody cried, though. You laughed, somebody cried.
Oh, somebody's spamming. Let's stop the spam, man. Apparently I have to log in with another device. But I am going to take care of this. Hopefully I don't break anything. Here we go. I will be dealing with the spammers. Please don't spam. Spam is for sandwiches. Actually, I don't know. Do you ever eat...
Spam.
And comedians on the internet. Did you ever eat... Have you ever eaten spam?
I have.
I don't know if I've ever. I don't know if I've ever had spam.
You know what? I grew up in the 70s, in the early 80s, and that was a staple of a diet if you did not have an awful lot of money growing up. So,
Yeah, I mean,
or if you have parents from Scotland,
who just like it. There are people who just like it.
Just a thing you eat.
I'm trying to see. Oh, there's the spamming. Oh yeah, now they're laughing, and now they are muted. Okay, we'll give you 5 minutes to cool off. Let's go back to some questions because I think we covered the illegitimate and lighting on tires, the ones that go on the valve stems. A lot of people like those. I don't really know why, but apparently they're popular in some circles. I will tell you that make sure they're not made out of aluminum.
I got it. Circles,
circles,
tires.
Circles.
They're popular in some circles.
I did not intend for that joke, but boy, I should have taken credit for it had I been By the way, a shout out to Brian William who says hello.
The valve stem ones.
Yes, if you put they're brass, usually they're brass, and if you put an aluminum cheapo valve stem cover on that has lighting in it,
yep,
a chemical reaction takes place.
So the valve stem, which is called inside it has a Schrader valve.
Ooh, Schrader valve.
Schrader is the guy who designed the valve.
He's not from Ninja Turtles.
But they are very soft. They're made out of brass. And if you don't have a coated aluminum, which most of the imported cheap stuff is, you may have a chemical reaction that happens, or not a chemical reaction, but you'll cause corrosion. Your tires can leak.
Corrosion, and you may actually have a bonded situation where the valve stem just fuses to the brass, and then you can't undo, and that's a real bad situation. These are some good questions coming in. By the way, Kayla, sorry to hear that your wife was injured. I didn't realize there was a situation where she'd be going to the hospital or dealing with whiplash and whatnot. So there are no good collisions other than the fact that you come out of them and you come out of them. So many of them don't end that way.
It's all around. It's unfortunate for everybody and everything involved, because quite honestly, nothing good ever comes out of it. Now, if I was to collide with the winning lottery ticket,
that's a different kind of collision.
I'd be okay with that. But
I have to check. I have some lottery tickets in my wallet that I've yet to check, but I think I'll check them after the show. I did not win, however, the big one from last week. But when I bought tickets, I got free tickets to Lotterio.
Oh, there you go.
Is a thing still? Let's see here. Johnny, hello, Sean. Did you change your username to actually be Johnny or hello, Sean? Question. Johnny, John here. I love it. Okay. When changing lane on traffic, if the car speeds up on purpose and hits me, whose fault is it? So I put up a video yesterday basically saying that if someone's changing lanes into your lane, you basically own that lane, and they have to ensure they can complete that change of lanes safely. And if they cause a collision by sideswiping you or coming into contact with you in that process, they've caused that collision. But when you've suggested that a car is speeding up on purpose to avoid letting you in, it's intentional. That could qualify for stunt driving because it's an intentional move. It's actually it's listed as one of the triggers for stunt driving.
That being said, you are the one who's making the maneuver. You're the one who's changing one lane to another lane, and the obligation is on you to do so safely. So yes, that other person may get charged for stunt driving. You're going to be found at fault for the collision.
And may be charged as well for an unsafe maneuver.
Exactly. You know what? In a situation like that, if somebody's speeding up, why would you want to let them drive behind you? Why would you push your way in? You know what? Drive behind them. And that way you don't have the risk of them running into you.
That is a really big thing. When you have someone who's obviously aggressive, someone who's not being friendly, instead of pushing your way in, breathe, slow down, take the next opportunity. You'll be happier for it and likely avoid a collision.
Yep.
Let's see here. We have Tony who says, hold on a second, it scrolled away. Come on. It was just there. And I see a whole bunch. Kyle has a question for us. I've got you flagged for in the queue. Let's see here. Okay, we already got the Johnny John. Nova Scotia, we got one from there.
Your fingers are way too quick.
No, it's because more are coming in, right? What about when people wait to merge at the end of the highway on-ramp They always try and squeeze. Do you mean the end or the beginning? Because I have less of an issue with someone who goes to the end of the ramp than someone who tries to jump in at the beginning, causing the entire ramp to back up. Zipper merge, it's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and it works. But everybody has to cooperate. I have seen, however, though, people go right to the very end of the ramp, can't get in, and come to a complete stop. And then try and merge in with traffic flowing very quickly beside them. That itself is dangerous.
It's an art form. Merging is an art form, and you really have to. This is where Scott Marshall and driving instructors around the world rejoice when their students get this right. But it is something that is where most of the issues lie on highway driving. It's the getting on and getting off. Being on the highway, if you're just driving in a straight line, is easy.
Yep, I would liken it to a dance between two entities, or multiple entities. And you know what? Everybody has to know where they're going and what steps to take to make the dance work. So if one party is not dancing properly and not letting the other party come in, it doesn't work. And what do you do in that? You get away from that person.
This is where you have to read the room. You have to understand what's going on and literally be good at understanding what you're getting into. You want to try and find that safe spot to move into. And when we'll talk about these things more when Scott Marshall's back on a show again next week, possibly. Okay, here's a question from is it History? History Face. That's a name I've never heard. When a bus is doing their checks at railways, do we have to stop? Well, if it's one lane in either direction and they are stopping, you cannot pass at a railway crossing. So then you would have to wait. So yes, you do have to stop and wait. All buses have to stop at railway crossings, and part of the reason they do that and they open the door really confuses people. They have to look and listen. They want to make sure that they have to make sure there's a train or there isn't a train approaching by way of using all of their senses before starting to cross it, because they have a long vehicle and they can't just gun it and go and cross.
You know what? And the risk is huge. If you've got 30 or 40 people on a bus, especially children, you don't want to have that risk. You know what? You don't want to put them at the risk either. So as a driver, if you're driving around a bus that's stopped, making sure it's safe, maybe that bus isn't moving because it isn't safe. So if you drive around them, guess what? You may be the one that's going to become in a collision.
Here's an interesting question, and it's completely out of order, but it came in from Instagram. And it's Sager who's asking, my friend does Uber. I took his account and car to work with it, but have a G2 license. What happens if I get pulled over? This is a situation where you're not the person who's approved to drive for Uber. There's such a thing as an Uber license, and it's not issued to you. You have to have an agreement with Uber in order to operate that vehicle in that capacity. You wouldn't be covered by that license. You wouldn't be covered by the insurance they extend to their people. And I don't know from our perspective what would happen, but certainly it'd be issues in the event of a collision. You'd probably be liable.
Yeah. Criminal fraud, though, if you're unlicensed, pretending to be somebody else, if that got to the extent of it.
It's certainly something you shouldn't be doing, and that's an obvious thing. Yeah, you should get your own Uber license, and I don't know if you have to. Can you do it as a G2? I don't know if you can do it as a G2.
I have no idea. I
don't. We are not the Uber police. We are just the police.
And you know what? Uber drivers have no other, or extended no other benefits
Than a regular driver.
Than a regular driver is. So it doesn't matter what you're doing in driving, even if it's an Uber, you're conducting business on the roadway. But other than that, you have to obey all the rules. And if there's a restriction on your G2 or your insurance or anything like that, then we'd love to meet you and give you a couple of autographs.
And here's a question about people who may or may not deserve autographs, and it's from Kyle Hawking, our friend, who wants to know are transport trucks permitted in the HOV lane if they are carrying two people, and maybe more importantly, should they be in the HOV lane? So transport trucks with trailer, I don't believe that they're permitted. In terms of a truck on its own, they might qualify, but I think there's a maximum thing. A commercial vehicle, like a straight truck, I believe can be, but I don't think 18-wheelers.
I can tell you there are a bunch of different restrictions for each type of HOV lane. There's ones on the highway. Mm-hmm. There are ones within the city. And within each municipality, they have their own rules. We have ones that are on the Don Valley Parkway, which is in the city of Toronto, and it is only authorized buses that can use it. Nobody else. High occupancy vehicle lanes,
It's certainly not intended for those vehicles.
it certainly is not. Should they be allowed in the HOV lanes?
I don't think so.
Well, I don't know.
It's certainly truly an HOV lane is a 400 series, and I have to go back and look. But like limos, taxis, they're permitted. Solo, the green plate permission, and vehicles that qualify for multiple passengers. But I don't know about now. If you want to know about the more importantly question, should they? I don't think they should be allowed to be there. The whole idea is that they should be, I think, queued up, taking time. They're professional drivers. They have they're not being given the benefit of being in a carpool scenario, being more economical. I don't see the reason that they.
Well, they are. They got more than 2 passengers.
Yeah, but they're
See, I have a different opinion.
yeah. Well, we do that a lot. It's okay.
You know what? They're drivers on the road. They're conducting business like a lot of others are doing. Why should they have to wait in long commuter traffic when they have a vehicle just like everybody else that is carrying more than 2 people and maybe commuting from one job site to another job site, or carrying, tools and freight for those job sites? I don't know.
Yeah. I think that they're in context. I think that, or at least from my perspective, I think that they are being paid. They're if they all do this as a way to bypass traffic, then all the folks who are trying to get to work are being held up just because they're taking extra people. And it's not like I don't know. I don't think they should be there.
So
That's a
you
personal
can't-
opinion.
You can't win this one. I don't know.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to have a look at the rules for the HOV lanes on the 400 series highways, and Kyle, maybe we'll get back to you on
Well,
that.
Kyle has my number. We can chat about it. We will follow up. Is it possible to take a race car and add certain safety features to make it road legal? Well, it's not just yes, because you think about taking most of the time a race car is a road car that has certain features taken off of it in order to make which prevent it from being used on the track.
So you can build your own car and have it road legal, as long as it meets all the criteria. Take, for example, kit cars. My favorite car, the Shelby Cobra,
I like that car too.
is made by multiple companies that have kit cars. They just sell you the pieces and you put it all together.
Well, the original Shelby Cobra was the original Shelby Cobra, but
Well, the original Shelby Cobra is, but the kit car itself is a homemade car that gets registered as homemade and put on there. So, yes, if you took a race car and made the parts, added the parts, made it compliant, then yes, absolutely. We have 800, 900 horsepower cars operating on the roadways right now. Why not?
there are things though that make it a race car that may not allow it to be. Like you might have to remove certain things, but which would then make it no longer a true race car. So there's going to be a balance, and it may not be a happy balance.
Safety compliance, bumpers, tires, brakes, exhaust, emission controls, things like that. I don't know if there would be a cost benefit for doing that, but
And there are some vehicles that are basically race cars that are available and street legal. They're not 100% race car. They're like 99.99%. Lupin wants to know if they can use an e-scooter in Toronto because they thought it was banned in the city. They are banned in the city. E-kick scooters, not e-scooters, but e-kick scooters, those stand-up jobbies, those are prohibited in the city of Toronto. There's discussion to make them legal. It has not been made legal at this point. The bigger issue, aside from the fact that they're prohibited, is that there are many of them that are illegal anywhere in the province of Ontario because they don't meet the regulations required to operate them anywhere. They have to be maximum speed on a flat surface, 24 kilometers an hour. They can have no more than 500 watts of power, or an engine or motor that's no more than 500 watts max load. What else? That it has no seat for those in particular. And so many of them are doing far, far faster. I saw two yesterday when I was driving up north that accelerated into traffic at breakneck speeds and then maintained traffic speeds. They must be doing 60 or 70 very, very quickly. Those were prohibited. Those were vehicles that are motor vehicles. They need license, ownership, and insurance, and that simply wouldn't be issued for them, so they're prohibited for use anywhere but private property.
now there are electric vehicles, including motorcycles, that can be legally used on the roadway, but they require license, insurance, all those things. So is there a place for them? Yeah, I think there is. Does it need to be done properly?
I own one. I used it at Honda Indy to get me from booth to booth a couple years back. They're great. Not allowed to be used on the road in
Are you
Toronto.
bringing it first tomorrow?
No, because the tire is smushed, and I have a solid tire to replace it with, but I don't have the time or motivation to change it. And I may do that, but I have to now find the charger, which I haven't seen in a while, which is probably meaning bad battery health because it hasn't been charged in a long time. Kyle wants to know or asks, Nova Scotia only requires one license plate on the car. If I cross into Ontario, will I need two on then? And we've talked about this, and it's been funny. It was actually Chase who came up and pointed us to the right line because we had said, well, technically, you're responsible, but we'd probably not lay it. But there's an exemption for you as a Nova Scotian registered vehicle owner that when you're here, we wouldn't issue that ticket. Like it's actually confirmed and supported.
So not all provinces do that, though.
Right. It's based on us.
Right. So if you go to your neighboring province of New Brunswick, there is an option where you can pay to have a front license plate with exactly the same, and that is for traveling through the U.S. and for provinces that do require it. So there is options out there. Each province is a little bit different. Even without that exemption in there, if it didn't come with it, we understand. We get it.
Yeah,
That's
most of
common
us.
sense.
Most of us are pretty reasonable, even though many people who get tickets don't believe that.
Now, if you do something, we're about to talk about tinted windows. If it's lawful in your state and you come into Ontario and it's not lawful here,
That's a dangerous vehicle situation, or at least potentially dangerous, because there's a threshold of it is where it's just not legal, but it's not dangerous, and then there's so dark that we don't think that you are capable of operating that motor vehicle safely on our roads, and we're not going to put our people at risk allowing you to continue that way. So let's talk about that. Tony wants to know why police officers give tinted window tickets, meanwhile their own cars have tints. And do you mean our personal vehicles or police cars? Because many of our viewers in the States have police officers, like in Florida and Nevada, who apparently tint their police cars. Now, I don't know what the rules are there. I can't speak to them. There may be an exemption for police to do things. They're working in those cars. I don't know. We don't tint our fleet vehicles. Our marked vehicles are not tinted. We don't do that. If people say, well, our undercovers tint, I can't speak to that. Our undercover cars shouldn't be identified as police cars. They're undercover.
yeah,
So
you wouldn't even know it's an undercover car.
and because it would be like a Honda Civic or something, you wouldn't know. It wouldn't be pulling you over. And in terms of people who have police officers who have personal cars who tint their window, they shouldn't do it either. And if they do it, it's on them if they get caught, and that could end up in disciplinary action. It wouldn't be cool. So the reason we ticket people who have tinted windows is because it's unsafe and illegal, and we do what we're paid to do, which is enforce the Highway Traffic Act.
And you know what? Me being a supervisor here, I would take action on that. If somebody was coming in operating a vehicle that was not safe, not holding us out to be the proponents of safe driving, I would take action on that.
And it's happened before. People have gotten into trouble for having things they're not supposed to have on their vehicles.
We have two things. They could get a ticket, a Highway Traffic Act ticket, and they could also get an Internal Police Services Act charge.
Disciplinary action, not fun.
Which would cost them an awful lot more. And they could get both.
Yeah, they can get their pay dock. They can get into serious trouble. Radek wants to know. Well, actually, starts with good afternoon. Good afternoon to you too. What are your opinions on drivers using their smartwatches while driving, and if they cause a collision, do the same laws apply as if they were using a cell phone? When the Apple Watch became popular, right around the time when there was a lot of action with changes to the Highway Traffic Act in relation to distracted driving, there were people being charged for Apple Watch use. And it makes sense because my Apple Watch is a cell phone on its own. And yes, it's mounted to my wrist, but it's no different than having a cell phone mounted to a dashboard. You can't use it. You're allowed momentary pickup and hang up. You can obviously look at the time because that's the default face. But if you're interacting with the screen, you're using a handheld communication device. And absolutely, the charges are appropriate. Yeah, I like that question.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had that, at least not recently.
And you know what? We're not used to a good afternoon.
This is true.
Usually it's good morning.
This is a long time coming. We've had a lot of people ask us to do afternoon bits. So we'll see what the numbers look like, because if people want to see us in the afternoon, maybe we need to do a rotating schedule. It's a couple of days daytime, couple of afternoons, and then we have to determine which afternoon is the right afternoon. So much work. We need to hire like a full-time producer.
Let us know.
Yeah, tell us what you think. We definitely want to know. Okay, what's this question? QALPR. Q is the question. ALPR is the acronym, which stands for Automatic License Plate Reader. Is there a way to have a flag for a medically suspended driver who owns the car to prevent other drivers pulled over? Oh, I see what you're saying. So you own a car, you're medically suspended, but somebody is driving you and you want to prevent them from being pulled over.
No.
No. Frank,
So the easy answer is no.
yeah.
And you know what? There's a risk. If the owner of the vehicle is medically suspended, what if the owner decides to drive it once or twice?
But uses that ability to flag, if it existed, to prevent being pulled over.
Exactly.
We have to
So,
check.
no, we would investigate. We'd pull you over and investigate anyways.
A question about auxiliary officers, and I used to be one. Do auxiliary constables make a salary or get paid? Not a salary. Do they get paid? They get reimbursed for mileage from their home to the police station and back again. So there is a reimbursement, but it's by no means, I mean, it's like 25 or 50 cents a kilometer or something, and it's nominal. If you got a couple $100 every quarter, I'd be impressed. The more times you show up, the more times you get reimbursed, but it's to cover the costs of coming in to be a volunteer, not a form of payment for your time. So there is no pay in the United States. There are things called there are people. There's a position called reserve officer, and in most cases, reserve officers are paid members. They get paid part time. We don't have anything like that. Okay, we have a question. Richard the Cool Guy. I saw some guy drinking a beer while driving, just wondering how I could have reported it. Well, even if it was something you believed was a beer, because it could have been near beer, like zero alcohol content beer. If you thought it was an alcoholic beverage, if you were concerned that they were impaired, you could have called 911. That would be an impaired driver, the potential of an impaired driver. That is an immediate emergency situation, because that person could go from doing a pretty good job to being absolutely a horrendous danger. I mean, there is no safe way to drink and drive.
Even more so if they continue to be drinking. So
yeah, so it could be, but it could have been iced tea that looks like a beer. They have bottled or canned water. They have canned water, big. They look like beer bottles or beer cans, and you'd never know the difference, except unless you recognized it. It's called like death water or something.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it says that you should murder some thirst.
Oh.
I've seen it all over the place. Zombie says, "Happy Thursday! What a great day." Ashton wants to know if we have road rage laws, and yeah, we do. Are they specific laws that are called road rage laws, or are they just a whole bunch of criminal laws that we could utilize because it's a road rage situation?
Yeah, it would happen, and it would all depend on the situation. What the evidence was and what happened during it. Road rage itself, if you're just driving like a jerk, because that could be a Highway Traffic Act offense or it could be a criminal offense. And if you get out and engage somebody, then definitely more criminal stuff.
Here's an interesting question from Octavian Ballur. And it's oddly enough, this is a question about tint. So I want to know if I'm from Ontario driving to Quebec. It's going to be up to Quebec what they do.
I would imagine that the Quebec driving laws would be very similar to the Ontario ones. So if it's lawful here, you'd have to check with the province that you're going to. If it is reasonable here, which means everybody can see in and it's not tinted, I would imagine it's pretty close to what it is over there. But they have to check.
Ultimately, it's up to them. So if you go there and you are driving with the illegal tint here, it is probably illegal there and probably more expensive there than it is here, because I understand that they are pretty serious and mess around not.
We when you think about the fine structure that we have here in Ontario, that actually is one of the lowest ones in the country.
Yes, especially for speed.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question on the screen is, can I stand on a fire route and drop off passengers? And I assume you mean park or stop at a fire route. I wish we were parking officers that would have an answer for that. I don't know if you can. I think you can stop for a moment to let people out.
Well, there is a no standing zone. There is a no stopping zone. There is a no parking zone. I'm going to say if you're blocking traffic in a live lane of traffic, don't stop there and drop off a passenger. Find a safe place to do so. And you won't cause road rage.
That's a big deal. Road rage, we were just talking about road rage, and there's so much emotion on the road. People are all in a hurry. Everyone's got somewhere to be, and they're all more important than the other person. So nobody has the patience to allow people to just live life and drop off passengers.
Yeah, I feel the same way sometimes when I'm late for something. I got to go.
Everyone's
People
got to
drive
go.
dumb when you're in a hurry.
Well, and then people get offended.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a thing.
So, Sean, I have to duck out.
I see you
is
ducking.
Past 1 o'clock, so I have stuff and
Stuff
things
and
to
things.
do.
Very nice. I will be here for another 30 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap it.
All right.
All right. That was the good Sergeant Murray Campbell, who is departing to do other stuff and things, because these stuff and things are lower on the priority list. All right. We talked about this. Let me remove that from my list. Okay, we talked about tint. Moving along. What's the next one? What are your thoughts on cars that stop past the lines at a red light? If you stop past the red light line, you have not stopped at the appropriate place, and you're eligible for a ticket. You failed to stop at the red light, or at least stopped wrong place. So stop sign is the same thing. It's stop wrong place. So there's an offense for it. If you made a stop and your tires were just over the line, would I give you a ticket? No, I would not. No, that's just not something I would do, unless there was something really egregious, like you had to come to a screeching halt because your speed was obviously too fast. Hey, you want to come in? Oh, hey. Sergeant Campbell said we had parking questions. Come grab a seat. Enjoy. Yes. Well, you should probably close the door. We have doors. We're not used to this door thing where we have to close the door, but we have a door now. It's very exciting. It really is. Aaron Urquhart joining us, and I will give your microphone some juice. Ooh,
So weird. I'm not used to it.
and it's dark. Oddly, it's dark there, but bright there on Instagram. So the question was, can I stop to drop off passengers in a fire route?
If you're just dropping them off, yes, but you cannot park or stop there or leave the car unoccupied. But yeah, if you're just pulling up, picking up, and dropping off, that's fine by me, I would say.
By you or by for sure, nobody would write that ticket?
I've never heard of someone writing a ticket for literally pulling up into a fire route to pick up and drop someone off. Unless there's an actual fire going on and fire trucks are there.
That I somehow think would be logical.
Yeah,
If you pull up next to the parking lot because mom's got to go into the burning building.
Exactly.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. And then we were discussing thoughts of vehicles that stop past the stop line. That would just be a bad driver. But most often, I wouldn't write that ticket unless it was extenuating circumstances. Jacqueline Tiller wants to know, can you call 911 while driving? Wait, you can call 911 while driving, can't you? You can call, yes, okay. I had to reread that because it was kind of, okay, the answer is yes. If you're calling 911 for an emergency purpose, you can use your cell phone, even if you don't have those Bluetoothy options. Like you could pick up the physical phone and do what you got to do because it's an emergency, and there's exemptions under the law for that. Kind of sort of why police can use their cell phones, because they are emergency. But the deal is that we would prefer you use any alternative to holding that phone if you had it available to you. So if you had Bluetooth, a headset, that should be your first option. But it's an emergency. You do what you got to do. For phones, I don't want people saying, well, I had to speed to work because it was an emergency. Doesn't count. The only emergency is one that that is for the purposes of law, whether you get the exemption, is to call us. Okay. Oh, we got a parking question. Sort of. Who has the right of way on a 2-lane road and a vehicle is parked on the road blocking my lane? So first off, it probably means that there's illegal parking going on. But the vehicle that would have the right of way is the direction that has no vehicle blocking it. See, if you have to pass the vehicle blocking you, you're traveling into oncoming traffic, and oncoming traffic in that environment has the right of way. They don't have an obstruction in their lane. It would be pretty weird if it was them who had to give right of way to you.
Yeah.
We have a question of, my son is occasional G2 driver. Does he need to be individually insured on our insured cars under us? Anna, it depends on where you live and where they live. See, if you and they live together, then your insurance company is going to want them added to the insurance policy, which is actually good because they develop an insurance history. In terms of legal requirements, from a police perspective, we don't require you to, or him or they to have their own policy. But your insurance company likely would. And if they do require it and you don't get it, it means that they will likely deny a claim in the event of a collision. So, something to think about. Shane has a question. Is tinting headlights and taillights illegal? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes, it is illegal. You are correct. The deal is that there is a specific provision in the HTA that states you shall not put any tint covering anything, film, otherwise, on headlights. Taillights aren't so specific. It speaks to having to be, what is the word I'm thinking of? It has to be, it's a word that's escaped my vocabulary temporarily. I'll go home, I'll hug my kids, and I'll remember exactly what this word is. Discernible, that's the word. They have to be clearly visible and discernible, the switch between high and low, at 150 meters. By tinting it, you are probably taking what is already just barely passing and making it not pass. So I would say that they are both illegal, and at very least, not a good idea. John Yusuf wants to know, can I do a U-turn at a traffic light? Well, certainly not if that traffic light is displaying a red light, because that would not make sense. You cannot enter an intersection on a red light, so don't do that. If it's a green light and it is safe to do so, and there are no signs stating that it's unlawful, well, then you could. Let's see here. We got AJ the Awesome with a message. I'm just flagging a couple. Stephen Bell says, hi, good afternoon, Sean. But that was likely sent before we had, a guest. So I'm sure he extends that to you. I know. AJ, okay, we got some cool. We got here. What's going on here? We've got, flagging a couple more. Then we'll get back into answering and spend the next 20 minutes with you doing that. In terms of live, there won't be a scheduled live for the next 3 days. There will be some impromptu lives because I'll be at Honda Indy. You won't be, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately.
And we don't know what the day is going to look like, but I'm bringing gear. We're going to set up in our command post. We are going to do our very best to live stream as much as possible. At very least, we'll be creating content and seeing some friends from the racing industry and the automotive industry, and we will create some stuff and things. What is this? Oh, we'll talk about lighting. Is that the TikTok girl that rides her bike giving out parking tickets?
You got it. That's me. And I was on the news yesterday too.
I was looking for you.
Oh, on the news? It was City News. So
I was looking on YouTube because I don't actually have cable.
Okay, I have to go online myself and find the article.
We'll see if we can find it. That's cool. How did it go? What was it like?
It was good. It was so City News just did a ride along with me to see a day in the life of a parking officer, because we have had a pretty big uptick rise in assaults on our officers, and we've had 20 in this year alone, which is much higher than previous years. So yeah, they just wanted to follow me around and see what we deal with every day. And of course, no one was aggressive when I have a big
camera crew,
big
funny
news
how
camera crew walking behind me, right? So, but yeah, they did get to see what it's like in a couple hours out on the road, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. It was fun. I had a good time, and they got to see me issue 10 tickets in an hour. So yeah, it was cool.
In an hour, okay.
Yeah.
So is that a normal rate?
Honestly, I usually write more within an hour, especially on my bike. And I was in a car yesterday. So yeah, I could usually write between 13, 15 tickets in an hour, depending on, the area, time of day.
It all goes to chance to some degree.
So is this the second live today? Or
No,
is
this is the first live
this
today.
is the first live. Okay.
I was at I can even show you photos. This is our booth at the Indy we were setting up. For anyone who is wondering, this is where Sergeant Campbell and myself will be for the next 3 days. We'll be there from at least I'll be there from show open tomorrow. It opens at 8 a.m. By the way, tickets are free tomorrow. You can get in for free. They would like you to make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is a good thing to do. So by all means, please do it. Come by and say hello. I'll be at the booth all day. In the afternoon, after 2:00, Sergeant Campbell will be joining us, and it's going to be a good time. Be a good time. It's going to be very hot.
It's going to be hot, yeah. Hopefully the rain buggers off, too. It's supposed to rain this weekend.
No rain. I do have an awning for the first time. Well, not for the first time. Last year, our command post vehicle was in the shop, so we used our mobile breath.
I remember that. Truck. I remember when we brought it over there and we were setting it up.
It was less cool than the current vehicle, which has 2 air conditioning, not 1, but 2 air conditioning units. I'm very excited because it was hot last time. Hot. What are the window tint laws in Ontario? Well, there's a couple different laws. The first one is for certification purposes. You can have no more than, hi, what you got? A present. I got a present. Oh. Very cool. Thank you. I like photocopies. Check this out. I got this. And it's a Toronto, Canada uses 51 motorcycles, all Harley Davidsons, to effectively cope with the increased traffic problems. I love this. Oh, wow. Thank you, sir. I gotta put it back in the collective in the protective coating that it was in. Look at that. And this is from June 1947. I'll come back to this. This is really awesome. Gifts are awesome. That's so cool. So the first tinted laws are that you can have no more than 30% light blockage of the windows left and right of the driver, and then you can have nothing on the windshield, and the windows behind you can have as dark as you want. However, that's only for certification purposes. And real life says that if I can't see you as the driver, if I can't identify you, if I can't see if you're wearing your seatbelt, that's not legal. So the first one would be your vehicle is unsafe. If you have more than 30% light blockage, you can't get certified. Or if you happen to have it on the road, I can take your license plates and charge you for drive unsafe motor vehicle, and then you get towed home. The next option would be obscure interior motor vehicle with color or reflective tint, and that would be that it's just too dark or reflection is there and I can't see. Now, there's another charge for if you can't see out, not based on you telling me you can't see out, but based on me making my own evaluation of your windows, the windshield or the windows left and right of the driver. So those would be the 3 different sets of charges. And none of them are fun. Nobody likes getting tickets. Do the right thing. AJ the Asham. I was gonna. Awesome. I don't know.
Awesome.
Sometimes I shmush the worst. Have you guys ever had a time when you had to make an arrest/fine that you didn't agree with? How did you work with your morals? Also, sorry I've been missing all the streams. Hope all is well. I am doing well. Hope your ribs are back to 100%. AJ had an ouchie boo boo. I got an ouchie boo boo. I was going to show you just the ouchie boo boo finger, but that would be obscene if I should. Nail now? I have what is going to be a probably black nail. I was putting tents in the in there, and of course the tent smushed my finger against a diamond plate wall. And what do you do when something happens? You yank it out, which is the worst thing you could do. I ripped the skin, and it is bruised and it was throbbing for a while. But it is no longer throbbing. I either have no nerve issue, no nerves there,
or my nail that was black is growing back now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
well,
it's gross.
I'm not going to be poking this finger anywhere it shouldn't go. But I will have Band-Aid on for the remainder of the day and the weekend. I don't like getting hurt. Getting hurt sucks, but I can't complain about this. It's really minor. It just my kids are going to be like, ooh, you know. So going back to your question, do you want to? Have you ever had to issue a ticket for something you didn't agree with, or arrest someone for something you didn't agree with?
Well, we don't arrest people. That's another question. Actually, I see you over there is about can we arrest people?
We'll segue into that one.
We'll do that after, but. I wouldn't say it's like the fine that I don't agree with, like maybe the circumstances where I've ticketed someone and I wasn't allowed or able to take the ticket back. And, it could have been someone, they were having a really bad day, like given some really bad news, maybe a death in the family, and like they parked illegally or pet loss, because I've worked around, emergency vet clinics and yeah, and like unfortunately we can't take tickets back anymore out of compassionate reasons as much as I would like to sometimes. So yeah, of course, like we're humans and of course I'm going to feel bad if someone is, having a really tough time and I just made their day even worse by issuing a ticket when not knowing what the circumstances were, why they were there, right?
Well, that's where I get to say this little message. For anyone who's being pulled over by the police, if you've got a reason, if it is that really bad day and your dog just died and aliens abducted your mother, tell us at the beginning, not after we issue the ticket.
Yeah.
Some people are afraid to say what's going on in their lives. Then we go through the process of writing the ticket. And then they say, oh, by the way. And at that point, the ticket is issued. And it is far more work to undo rather than simply tell us what's really going on. Bare your heart and say what's happening so that we can then make a judgment as to whether we're going to employ discretion. Because
Exactly.
discretion is something we have available to us. And we don't just give it out. We don't just let everybody off because everyone has a great story, right? Usually. Mm-hmm. But if you don't share any story, and if it's true, we'll gauge whether or not we buy it, but and whether or not it is justified in the circumstances. But you're better off to share it before we issue the ticket because
Exactly.
it doesn't. The undo button is broken. So have I ever arrested someone where I didn't agree with it? I don't think so, because when I arrest someone, it's pretty clear that they're needing some arresting. Because if there was a way to deal with it without arresting, I would probably have gone that way already. In terms of issuing fines, I like to focus on the ones that annoy me the most. So I've never, have I ever given tickets because someone said, a boss has said, we have a specific problem in this area, go do it. I've never been in a situation where I'm like, wow, that guy broke all those laws and those don't matter to me because I'm a rules guy. So when you break the rules, I'm more than happy to issue you tickets because here's the deal. Most people, when they get charged or when they commit an offense, it's not their first time. They say that a shoplifter, when caught, is probably committed that offense 8 to 10 times prior to being caught. So if I'm catching you and you're saying, I've never done this before, I don't buy that. When people say, I've never used my cell phone before while driving, you caught me on the very first time I ever touched it, baloney. Mm-hmm. So, not every excuse is going to work. In fact, majority won't. And I certainly don't feel bad for someone who's clearly been breaking the law. Now, I will say this. I have pulled people over, and it was going to be an educational experience. I came with the intention of making an educational experience. And then the person proceeds to tell me I'm mistaken, I'm lying, I didn't see what I saw, or demand a deal, demand a break. Those educational opportunities are automatically converted into absolute guaranteed tickets. So, yeah, I can't say that I've ever written anything that I regretted writing.
Sorry, I have to step out. I'm getting my
That
phone calls.
do your
Sorry,
thing.
guys.
I appreciate you coming in. And just to answer the question, can a parking officer arrest someone? The answer is
No.
Well,
civilian arrest.
Citizen's arrest is an option.
you take that.
Yes, I will go with it. Everyone in Canada, even visitors to the country, have the ability to utilize citizen's arrest. However, you're responsible for what you do. And if you arrest someone improperly, or if you get hurt arresting somebody, this is bad. So don't do it if you don't know what the laws are. Don't do it if you if you think you're going to just say, hi, I'm arresting you, just hang on for the police. You're probably going to be in for the fight of your life. You have to know what the laws are because you can't just arrest someone for chewing gum loudly. You have to arrest someone for an indictable offense that you found them committing. You have to know what an indictable offense is. You have to know to ensure that you're not unlawfully holding somebody, because that's going to be a bad day at the office when you are sued for the unlawful arrest that you may have been involved in. Okay, question is, did you notice that pause was me trying to go, what is that username and how do I not make it sound incorrect? And I just chose not to go there. So if I get a sunstrip, that's 30%. Is that okay? Sunstrip is the 3 inches at the top of a vehicle's windshield. Nothing can be on the windshield. Nothing. Unless your vehicle is older than 2017. So it has to be a 2016 or older, and then you can have 3 inches of sunstrip. In terms of the amount of light that is permissible, I would assume 30% is what it is, but I don't know so, because generally speaking, it's just zero. Nothing can be on there. I've never actually gone down the rabbit hole to find out if 30% is okay on the sunstrip. Just know that a sunstrip is illegal unless it is on a vehicle that is older than 2016. Dominic has a question. Can you use secondary high output lights instead of the normal high beams? There is a maximum lumens or power rating for headlamps. I cannot tell you what that Candela rating is at the moment. However, I think I want to say 3,000 lumens. So if your lights are too bright, they would not be permissible for road use. Okay. Are you allowed to speed or break minor traffic laws if you are driving someone to the hospital? No. The hospital does not give you any special powers. You are not allowed to speed or drive unsafely or illegally in any way, shape, or form. If you need that, call EMS. Emergency Medical Services. The magical paramedics have a dedicated driver who's skilled and trained and has equipment, and they can do that, and you can't. If you believe that you can transport to the hospital someone better or faster or safer than waiting for an ambulance, you can do it, but you can't break any laws while you're doing it. And just know this: advanced medical care, paramedics, they bring that to you. They stabilize patients prior to transporting, and then they decide whether or not they have to speed, but they stabilize their patient. You're taking someone who is not stabilized, likely, and you're going to put them into risk of being involved in another collision because you're driving to get there quickly. You might never get there. You might be the cause of a collision. It's not a good day at the office. And you're eligible for whatever happens and any tickets that you may accrue. Talbot wants to know, oddly enough, is it legal to speed to the hospital? No, it's not. We just said that. Why ask him questions twice? I know it wasn't you. Okay. We got this one. We got the why. Yumu. Is a tinted motorcycle helmet legal? Now, I grew up believing that a tinted visor was illegal at night. And I didn't have the way of articulating why, but I just thought it was. And here's the deal. As an adult, as a now veteran police officer, what is my answer? Well, there's nothing under the Highway Traffic Act that I'm aware of that regulates this. However, if your visor is dark and you are driving with it, I would suggest it is careless and driving with an obstructed view. And it would be up to me to articulate that. So I'm going to say it's illegal because I can find a way to make sure that it is articulated in law by the use of existing laws to articulate why that is dangerous. Is there a tinted motorcycle helmet law? No, not that I'm aware of. So is it legal? I'm going to say it's unsafe, and thus, because safety and driving carelessly or driving dangerously, these are kind of big blankets, it could fall under there. Not necessarily dangerous, that's criminal, but certainly carelessly if it's to suggest you have no view and you're driving, and then becomes something you can argue in court. Hey, here a tint question. I don't know, today's the tint day. Can we talk about tints? What if the car came with the tints bought from a dealership? If the vehicle is brand new from factory, never being modified aftermarket, even if it was by the dealership, then it likely passed all import and regulations. Likely. If you bought a vehicle and then said, please tint the windows, that is not from a dealership. That is from a dealership, but it's aftermarket. And that there is no defense there. You cannot do it. If you are buying it secondhand, if you're buying a used vehicle and it comes with tints, they should know better because to certify it, it should have failed certification. But let's say you buy it and drive it and you say, that's how I got the car, and you'll still get a ticket. Apparently, I started to discuss colored and flashing valve stem lights, but never finished. Thank you for bringing me back to that as I scrolled onto every other topic up until right now. The answer is that if you have LED flashing lights on your tires, they're visible, they're projecting, and may be violating laws. At the end of the day, you shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't. If it just glows mildly, doesn't project light outwards, maybe not an issue, but certainly not worth it. Isn't that cool? I would just avoid it altogether. Can a traffic enforcement officer write a ticket inside their vehicle, or do they have to be visible to the offending driver? I don't know exactly what you mean, because our computers are in our cars. Our printers are in our cars. So we have to get in our cars to write the ticket and print the ticket, and there's no obligation to be visible to you. Now, if you mean, can we sit in our cars and measure information and then pull you over to stop you and get out of our cars to talk to you and then get back into our cars to print it? Like, I don't know what you're really talking about. So can we do enforcement while sitting in the car? Yeah, we can. Is it illegal to sleep in your car? Everyone needs a nap now and again. It's not illegal. It's illegal if you're parked in an unsafe space. Ideally, you should get off the road and park in a public place where it's safe. But I've pulled over and felt unwell and needed tired. Like I was tired, so I needed a nap, and I did. Most recently, in my father's driveway, I got there and I was just so tired, and I don't know what came over me. I don't know if it was something I ate or whatever it was, but yeah. If it's for safety reasons, if you're not talking about living in your car, you're talking about pulling over and taking a nap, it's legal. Just take safety and security into consideration. My son wants to know, are tickets waterproof? Oh, we actually have to go offline in 2 minutes because we're going to have a full power testing of our generator system. So I have to cut it off now. Otherwise, it's going to be cut off for me. To answer your question, are tickets waterproof? They are on a thermal paper. The paper is almost plasticky. I wouldn't say that you could submerge them, but it would certainly survive getting wet. And AJ the Awesome has had